So welcome back for a new interview. This time my guest is Anastasiia Voitova. Welcome, Anastasiia.
Hi.
So like with all the other interviewees, I'm going to ask you the same first three questions to begin. So first question is, if you had one wish, what would you wish for at WWDC 2021?
Well, I honestly hope that they won't break a lot of stuff because, with WWDC, we have a lot of new updates and at the same time, we have a lot of deprecations. And even looking on the Xcode, I'm waiting for Xcode 12.5 because it unbreaks Xcode framework signature issue we had in our library. So with WWDC, I hope for stability, for reliability, for improvements, not for breaking things.
It's a very interesting opinion. Like we were saying before recording, like you work in security, so you have a different opinion than most iOS developers, but still all apps have to worry about security. So it's super interesting to have to hear this opinion. And maybe like more realistically, are there some features or things that you expect to be announced?
Yeah, honestly, remember previous WWDC, we had a lot of announcements related to privacy.
Yes.
A year ago, we had a lot of announcements related to security and encryption because CryptoKit was announced, right? So this year, I expect something similar. I expect more privacy-oriented announcements, more like security and cryptography announcements. I also noticed that Apple has introduced new API for TLS certificate pinning.
That's right.
And I hope, it will be like widespread. So I expect Apple, to continue moving in this direction, and maybe even unknown that they will reject more applications that are not secure.
But it's true that they've introduced certificate pinning being handled like through the plist, but it feels like it's just
Yeah.
posted a page on their website, but there has not been like any session or anything. So I'm sure like not everyone, definitely not everyone, is aware of it.
Yeah, and honestly, I haven't used that approach, like the new announce approach with Playlist. I haven't used it yet in my applications. I tried to work with it. It sounds super promising because it's just easier. But with TLS certificate pinning, the pinning itself is not a problem because we already had many libraries that support that, right? The problem is to generate those certificates in a way that we understand what we pin, how we pin, and when we update the thing. So it's more like a organizational wide problem, not like a security what to pin exactly problem. But still, I hope that Apple, they're making all these security features more like available, more accessible for developers, more easy to use, and I hope Apple will move in this direction.
Exactly. I mean, for them, like to have a session to educate developers exactly on this topic of what pinning is and what do you need to care for, because you are embedding resources with an expiration date in your app. I'm sure not everyone is aware of it. So I would really like to have a session that then we could refer to when we speak like with developers, but also with customers to be able to tell them, yeah, that's how it works. And look at it. Apple said it, so it must be true.
Yeah, by the way, remember in previous WWDC they had really awesome session about risks and threats, and how to build like security defenses in the app. Because the session was explaining that we have an application and these are attack surfaces, these are threat surfaces, and these are security controls we can build. And this session is amazing, but I still think that many developers haven't watched that. So if you're watching this right now and it's still not WWDC 2021 yet, please go back and watch that security session. We will put a link on it somewhere, right? Because I believe that new WWDC will bring us more security sessions and you will need to watch even more.
And it's going to be a nice warm up for this year WWDC anyway to watch this session. And so you said in your first answers that you would really like them to not break anything. Is there an announcement in particular that you would be scared of? Maybe because it would break something for you?
Well, I'm super curious, obviously, about like CryptoKit. and all this, Apple Silicon, what we support, what we stop supporting. So it will be like, for me, it will be crucial if new Apple Silicon machines will stop supporting OpenSSL. I hope it will never happen, because OpenSSL is like, it's a stepstone for almost every piece of software in the world, but still, that will be a disaster, yeah. However, we already have CryptoKit and we have Boring SSL, so I will handle it, but still,
It would be a big change, yeah.
yeah, like a little bit.
But it's true that we've been lucky on that part, because OpenSSL, I think it's working pretty fine on the new M1 chips.
Yeah, it is. And it's actually very fun that it's way faster to compile, because, M1 is faster. So my new metrics for new laptop, I try to compile OpenSSL, and especially Xcode framework, OpenSSL as Xcode framework on my new laptop. So this is how I understand how fast and efficient this laptop really is. And M1 is really fast, yeah. And it supports OpenSSL, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. Because I've seen for people who do web development, like Docker, it was an issue on the M1, and you could only wonder, like, we are lucky to not have the same issue, but indeed, if one of your basic tools is not working, that's not the best situation in the world.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's why let's hope they won't break a lot of things, okay?
Let's hope indeed. And so for my last question, I wanted to ask you, so since your main focus is about iOS app security, I was wondering, once the new iOS betas are released, well, what's the impact on your side?
Well, the reverse engineering and anti-reverse engineering defenses, this is something that is usually broken with new iOS releases. Because, so what's the thing here? That applications can be installed on jailbroken device, or application can be researched using reverse engineering tools like Frida and different techniques using debugger, right? So it would be nice when applications protect themselves against reverse engineering. But the thing is that iOS itself, it doesn't provide a single official API to understand if device is jailbroken, right? So usually these anti-reverse engineering protection measures, they are set of different checks. Sometimes copy-pasted from Stack Overflow, sometimes copy-pasted from OWASP guidelines, but a lot of different checks. So sometimes when new iOS arrives, some of these checks stop working. And this might be fun because you rely on these checks to make sure that the application is valid, right? And with new iOS, some checks can be false positive or false negative. You understand what I mean? They basically become invalid. And this is usually we need to move really fast to make sure to update those checks before all users will update to new version. But yeah, this is the reality of having these anti-reverse engineering defenses. Luckily for me, as I do mostly cryptographic stuff, and cryptography works everywhere, so luckily for me, I don't really care about new iOS versions coming, because I know that cryptography will work, but I still need to check for all other defenses in the apps.
Yeah, like doing this test, I can tell you, I also have some experience with it, when sometimes if like the user of our apps, well, they install the new OS version and it's not explicitly like the number of the OS is not written on a whitelist somewhere, it just says no, this is not a valid device, and you lose access to some feature which even though you still have a legitimate reason to use them.
Yeah, false positives are a bad thing about all these security controls, but they are part of life, right? We design system understanding that we will have some amount of false positives or false negative, and this is the art of software security design, to be ready for any unexpected thing that can happen.
And to find and to maintain the right balance, we could say.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright, well, thanks a lot, Anastasia, for your answers. I'm sure the viewers have found your point of view interesting. I definitely have myself. So, well, for you who are watching, thank you for watching, and see you next week for another interview. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.